My brother Zach Kondo said, and make no mistake about it, the Kennedy thing was just an excuse to take Malcolm down. Okay. So that feeds the narrative there. The teacher of Malcolm X, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was threatened by the growing popularity and strength and wisdom of his student, so he looked for or engineered a pretext, a pretense, or an excuse to take him down. And many of you love that narrative. It allows you to champion Malcolm over his teacher. It allows you to cast aspersions on his teacher. But I'm sorry to say,
yes, sir,
but not sorry, that narrative is wrong.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Brother Zach Kondo.
That's right.
J.F. Kennedy was killed November 22nd, 1963 at 12 noon or 12:30 Dallas time, Central time, on Friday.
Come on.
Fridays in 1963 in the Nation of Islam and temples across this country, that was our second lecture of the week. So that Friday, every temple was preparing to open their doors and conduct our regular Friday meeting. Malcolm mounted the rostrum of temple number 7, Friday, November 22nd.
Come on now.
As Malcolm X is at the rostrum, a call comes in from Chicago.
Yes, sir.
The son of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was also the Assistant Supreme Captain of the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad Jr., called New York. Captain Joseph answered the call and was instructed, bring Minister Malcolm to the phone.
Yes, sir.
Captain Joseph gets Malcolm. Malcolm says, well, does he know that I'm teaching? Captain Joseph says to Malcolm from Elijah Jr., of course he knows you're teaching, huh?
Yes, sir.
Said, but I have a message from our father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He needs to come to the phone.
Yes, sir.
Malcolm comes to the phone, dismounts the rostrum, picks up the phone and asks Captain Joseph to get on the other end. And this is the instruction. Hours after President Kennedy was killed,
right.
This is the instruction. This is what ain't in Spike Lee's movie, ain't in Zach Kondo's book, ain't in Netflix.
Right.
It's in none of the narratives.
That's right.
The Assistant Supreme Captain of the Nation of Islam, you all don't have to. Y'all don't, I guess, know nothing about that.
That's right.
And it's important because coming through these ranks,
Yes, sir.
you can understand or appreciate the history of Malcolm X, a 12-year history.
Go ahead.
You can empathize with Malcolm Little, Detroit Red, but you can't appreciate Malcolm X
Say that. That's right.
with a lack of appreciation
Say that.
for what the Nation of Islam is, not just who but what. So I
Yes,
continue.
sir. That's right.
The Assistant Supreme Captain says to Malcolm, Brother Minister, I don't know if you know, but the president has been killed today in Dallas. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is instructing me to call all of the ministers around the nation, starting with you.
Oh, that's right.
You are instructed, Brother Minister, to say nothing about the assassination of the president. Malcolm says to his superior, the assistant supreme captain, but what am I to say if I'm asked about it?
Go ahead.
The assistant supreme captain says to Malcolm
Come on now.
on the phone, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that we are to say, if asked, we regret the death of our president. Malcolm says, how can I say that? I've been going all around the country beating up on the president. His instructions were, this is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad instructs
Yes, sir.
you to say.
That's right.
Malcolm hangs that phone up.
Come on now.
He says to his captain, Captain Joseph, how can I say that?
Come on now. Yes, sir.
So in the nation of Islam, we're a nation of laws. Violation of laws occurs levels of penalties. There's some laws we can violate and we will get put on C time, which means we can still come among the believers, but it's like probationary. If we hold any post, we can't function. In Malcolm's case, for example, when Malcolm was insubordinate at the Manhattan Center, that insubordination is a violation that he imposed penalties on members in New York under his charge. His insubordination initially earned him 90 days C time, which meant he could come among the Muslims, but as minister of New York, he could not mount any rostrum. He could conduct the administrative affairs of the mosque, but he could do no public speaking. He could not give any press conferences. He could not respond to press people calling him on the phone. As long as he did that, he could still come among the believers, and at the end of 90 days, his time would be served. Because he disobeyed the terms of his seat time, he spoke to the press. Because of this continued insubordination, his 90 days seat time became indefinite F time.
Okay, so this is all still 1963, and so it seems like the third and final straw that ultimately leads to his departure is in November 1963. John F. Kennedy is assassinated, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells Malcolm X to not mention his name. No? Okay. So, well, I'll go over and then you can dispel everything as you know it. So, he tells Malcolm X to not speak directly on John F. Kennedy because, you know, it's going to be a big issue. Malcolm X hosts a lecture, and he does something different this time. He never opens it up for questions, but he decides to open it up for question, and then he indirectly speaks about John F. Kennedy, and as a result, then
He indirectly speaks about John F.
Yeah. He indirectly speaks about John F. Kennedy, And then he gets silenced for 90 days by order of the messenger himself.
So, President Kennedy is assassinated. November 63. Immediately upon news of the assassination, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had a communication sent out to every minister of the Nation of Islam. We are a structure. This is a lot of teachable moments in Malcolm, which is why Malcolm must be studied. We are a structure. None of us who are cogs in this structure, if you will, none of us are so great that we are more valuable than the structure. None. Every minister was given an immediate communication. Say nothing about the assassination of JFK. The country was mourning. JFK was the first Catholic president of this country. As far as we know, there were black Muslim inmates under the authority of Catholic correctional officers. It would be foolish for us to speak into the pain of a country mourning the loss of their beloved leader, to speak our truth into it. Truth out of season is a bad thing. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave every minister direct instruction, say nothing of, make no comment on the assassination of John F. Kennedy. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was scheduled to speak in New York. He canceled that speech, given what had just happened. Malcolm didn't like that. Malcolm impressed upon the messenger that we had invested so much money in this event. If you won't go, allow me to go and speak in your stead. The messenger gave him an okay, but the messenger reminded him. He said, okay, Malcolm, but remember, say nothing about the assassination of JFK. So look how it happened. So Malcolm arrives. So Captain Joseph barred all press. There were to be no press in that event. Malcolm had a particular New York Times journalist that for some reason he fancied, M.S. Handler. And then M.S. Handler was part of the FBI's COINTELPRO effort. M.S. Handler also wrote the foreword to the autobiography of Malcolm X, if I'm not mistaken. Malcolm X got word that M.S. Handler tried to come and Captain Joseph turned him away with the rest of the press. Malcolm X got word of that and he overturned Captain Joseph's decision on that. He allowed M.S. Handler to come in. And there was not to be any press in there. Malcolm made the decision to override his captain, to let this devil, M.S. Handler, in. And what happens? Malcolm gets through his remarks perfectly fine. He opens it up for question and answer, and here's that mischief-making devil. M.S. Handler is in there. Now, it can't be said Malcolm X was in the Valley of Decisions. No, he's in the structure. So there's only one decision. He was given explicit instructions on that matter. The instructions were, if asked about it, say no comment. Malcolm was asked about it, and I think it was MS Handler that asked the question. I gotta be fact checked on that, but it was because he was there. It went out to the world what Malcolm said, and see, Malcolm ain't say what you said he said, but it ain't your fault. See, they sanitized to romanticize Malcolm as if Malcolm only said, he just gave an cute and true political analysis, right? He said chickens coming home to roost. America sent out violence. America killed other leaders of state. Now those chickens come home to roost. America's head of state is killed. A very sound political analysis, right? Who could be mad at that? Well, one, he should have never said that. Shouldn't have said anything other than no comment. He was in gross violation. Two, at least 2 times, 2 instructions. He's in gross violation. But he didn't stop there. He said, me being a farm boy and all, I'm never sad when the chickens come home to roost. In fact, I'm glad. And so when MS Handler, his boy, blasted it in the rest of the world, Black Muslim leader celebrates the assassination of JFK. They cannot be accused of doing violence to Malcolm X's comments. How else are you to interpret that? Being a farm boy and all, I'm never sad when the chickens come home to roost. In fact, I'm glad. So, why did Malcolm do that? He was wrong. I don't care how much you love him, we love him, but damn that. Damn your love, or damn your emotion. He was wrong. He was wrong in December 62. He was wrong in November 63. He's wrong. And you cannot sweep that under the rug or refuse to consider that when you try to assess the relationship between Malcolm and the Nation of Islam as it will develop. Okay, so he violated at least two direct orders. He violated blatantly. He gets penalized, but his penalty is as much for his protection